Hello there and welcome to the second Unknown podcast. Here, my name's Tam Cassidy and my co-presenter here, Donna Davis.
I'm Donna Davis. Yes.
How you doing?
I'm fine. We've literally grabbed each other and said we're not to talk.
Yes.
Because we keep sitting down to do this.
Yeah.
And we end up talking for 3 hours and not doing it.
We end up talking for about 3 hours and then we say we wait to do the podcast and then we say I can't be bothered talking anymore. So we like to yap. We're saying right, let's put it on first and just start yapping first of all and see where we go with that.
Yeah.
But you have a new approach, don't you, this week? You said what you're going to do is it's kind of like a surprise for me. We're just going to sit down and you're just going to say something.
I'm going to say something, right? Well, kinda you gave me a wee idea because you did phone me on the way here.
Yes, when I was late again.
And I did say, don't talk.
Yes, don't talk.
We're not to
That's
talk.
easier said than done to me.
So I was like, don't talk because we'll just talk and then So you did say something about how difficult it is to make decisions.
Yes.
And I said to you, I had a friend who said to me, decisions aren't difficult when you know your core values.
Yes.
And then we kind of said, that sounds like a good thing to talk about.
Okay, yep, your core values.
So do you know your core values?
I think I've been told that it's good, you should be encouraged to actually write them down. And then that's how you should live their life. And if your core values, which would really be, you know, what you're wanting to put up with, what you're wanting to have.
Yeah, what's important to you?
What's important to you?
So I'm at a wee slight advantage here because that my course that's on Thinkific is on about core values.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone through it for mine. So I can't remember what mine is. I will, they'll come to me, but there's quite a lot to choose from. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like if you're trying to make a decision to exercise, right? So say you're like, because you know nobody we do like to exercise, but a lot of people don't like to exercise. It's hard work. You have to go out the house and you have to go to the gym or whatever. But if one of your core values is health and staying healthy, then you can revert back to that and kind of say to yourself, well, and use it as a motivator to push you forward to do it.
Right.
So there's loads. So there's like, if health is important to you, you know, you will make decisions based on that. If family is important to you, then you put your family first, and or whatever around about the decisions that you make for your life, then that'll be what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
So like for example, you had Lila at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm right in saying one of your
Lila's
core family.
Lila's my wee girl.
Yeah, but you're very family orientated, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
So you clear the decks for Lila so that you've got time to spend with Lila.
Yeah.
Now for some people that's not one of their core values. I think most people it would be, but no, some people it isn't, and they would maybe make arrangements to do different things, and the decisions would be different, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yes, I think although we don't necessarily sit and do an exercise on core values, we kind of do run our lives according to what's important to us.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I suppose as well, so your core values then, so my core values would first of all be family.
Yeah.
It's being happy as well.
And what does that mean though, being happy?
Well, being happy to me means that I'm waking up. For me, the most important part for me waking up is for waking up in the morning and be happy waking up.
Yeah.
Right? To go at a nice one.
Yeah.
I love getting up, a cup of coffee, a wee bit of breakfast. I've usually got something that I'm wanting to do, and it's because I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life in the past where I wasn't happy. I would waking up and doing it. I would dread it. I would dread the things I was doing, whether that be jobs or just things you had to do in your life.
Yeah.
So there was times when that happened. So I think for me, what is happiness? Well, happiness is waking up in the morning and saying, right, nice one, I'm going to go out. You didn't wake up every day, jumping about and singing and everything's alright, but I think for me, if I'm waking up in the morning and I'm looking forward to my day, then I've found a bit of happiness there as well. But of course, you're talking about if core values is family. So if your core values, so I've got a wonderful family, you know, I've got 3 amazing kids, I've got an amazing grandson, I've got a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law, I've got a daughter-in-law, a granddaughter on the way, all these things, you know, and I've got my mum's there, and you know, in my life, amazing family, I've got my sister, my brother-in-law and my two
Cousins
nieces,
and
two
all
nephews.
that, yeah.
So you got that right, you count them up, you go, wow, you're amazing. So if family's one of my kind of core values, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
The difficulty is that things happen to all of them.
Yes.
And you don't get any control over that.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true.
So it's difficult to
big
say,
time.
well, that's my. But I suppose what you're saying is it's the importance to you, how important to you.
Yeah, I think it's more, if family's a real core value, then decisions you make. So say Elizabeth's coming to me next month. Well, this happened. So Elizabeth's coming to me the whole month of December. So me and Dan do a month about Elizabeth comes to me one month and her dad the next. Now, we my friends were like, let's go away in December, and I just said, well, no, I'm not going away in December because I've got Elizabeth. So because it's important to me that she's with me and I'm there and present and spending time with her. So, but if that wasn't a real strong core value, I might have said, I'll get my mum through and she'll sit with her, or Jonathan will come through or whatever. So yeah, so you it's all about how you make your decisions in life. And so again, if your health is important to you, when somebody puts a big cream cake in front of you and you're trying to be healthy, then you'll say, right, no, I'm not going to have that, I'm going to, because I'm looking after myself and I'm trying to be healthy. So so that kind of thing. Yeah, so
I think in terms of health, I get that as well. I was a heavy drinker, heavy smoker, heavy everything. I was a teenager really, until I was about 33, and I gave everything up, right? And and I became very health conscious after that. And that's funny that as well, because I think so a core value of health. I make sure I go every day to my classes. I enjoy my classes. I do that kind of thing. And you're right. It's about saying, well, that I prioritise that, and it's important to me, And I think as well, that was just something that jumped at me as well in terms of core values. That is one thing that stopped me from implementing core values was using substances, alcohol, all that kind of thing. If you're doing things like that, you don't have any core values. That becomes your core value. That becomes everything to you, so when that was out of my life, then I started to implement values into my life, but I didn't think it like that, I suppose. About yourself, I mean, I don't think I've ever thought it like that, but you're right. Family is a core value. About 4 years ago, I came back from Australia. Now, when I came back from Australia, it meant that I was having a relationship with my wee girl. And what I decided to do then was build everything around my wee girl. So she was 6 months old at that time, and me and her mum unfortunately had split up. So I made a decision at that time that she would be one of my core values, in terms of the fact that it doesn't matter what's going to happen, work or whatever else, she's going to be at the core of my week, and I'm going to work around that. And as a dad, society doesn't go along with that all the time.
No.
As a single dad, and because I didn't get my daughter as much as her mum had her, the term single parent didn't even actually stick with me. So I had to make sure that people understood I'm a single parent, and I had to say I am a single parent, and everything will fit around me being a parent for my wee girl. And she started school now, and I've done that. And that was the whole thing was that I would continue to say, no, I don't care if you're telling me I need to work 5 days a week, I'm working 3 days a week, because the other 2 days is going to Lila. As a dad, as a guy, it's a bit more difficult today, by the way. You're not expected to do that.
No.
But I decided at that time that was going to be part of my core values in terms of my family, and my daughter would get my attention. When I had my first 2 kids, who were a lot older, I wasn't able to do that. I didn't have that mindset. So I was running about 5 days a week working, picking them up, dropping them off, stressed as anything all the time. Weekend comes, and try to do as much as I could, pack it in with them and that as well. But I learnt from that, that, don't get me wrong, we still did loads of stuff together, and I still was able to come up myself with my older son and daughter. But that experience taught me that, no, I'm going to wrap my life around Lila, so she'll be the core of everything I do. So I don't know if that's making sense. But
Yeah,
it's just,
no, it does, 100%.
and it was the same way when I gave up alcohol, and so I started to focus on health. So I focused on my health. Then I was running half marathons.
Yeah.
Then I was running full marathons, and then I enjoyed feeling good. And I enjoyed feeling fit as well, and that's something that's just
that's continued, hasn't it?
So if someone was to stop me doing that,
yeah,
it would affect me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
Yeah, because that's important to you. And they say that when you do the first exercise, like there's thousands of words that could be core values, you know, but you have to whittle it down, and some of them you can put under an umbrella term of health or happiness or whatever it is. But you usually advise you to whittle it down to about 5. So I think one of mine was definitely family. The other one was freedom, but that came under the umbrella of freedom from ill health, freedom from financial worries, that kind of freedom as well. So I kind of put it under that umbrella as well. And I think another one was authenticity, but now I kind of think, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're trying to show up in the world as you, and just trying to be kind and give something back to the world, I suppose. I don't know.
One thing that it does make me think that maybe we'll come on to it as well, as though that if you have fundamental core values, it might be about what's acceptable to you in life as well. What's valuable to me and what will I put up with. And I think that's really important.
Definitely.
I think that's really important to those. And I have heard that, I can't remember the guy's name. I've actually got him on YouTube and I'll maybe remember his name. But he talks about core values and writing down what are your core values. I'm sure that's what he called it. And it's about people you'll let into your life and what they'll bring into your life. So that could be in relationships, or it could be a boss, it could be anything at all. What are you willing to put up with? And reflecting back, and you might be lying down one night going, this isn't, I'm not happy with this or whatever. Or you might be feeling bad about something. And when you examine why you're feeling bad about it, you might see that person who's around you, who's in your life, doesn't match your core values. So your core values are based upon what you're willing to put up with. You know? So I mean, I've not got anything against alcohol, obviously, right? No. I'm not got anything against it like that. But I'm not going to sit with people drinking, and I'm not going to clubs and sit with people and deal with that.
No.
So I know that, and if I do that, it makes me uncomfortable. People can call me boring or whatever they want, but it's just something I'm not willing to put up with anymore. So that would be one of my core values. But also, people that come into your life that haven't got your best interests, or you don't want your kids to be around or anything like that. We come into contact with people that could be in work and stuff like that as well, or anywhere. And sometimes we think we have to put up with certain things. But I don't believe that. No. I don't think it's good for you to put up with anything. We're not supposed to put up with anything. So your core values should always be a reflection of who you have around you. Who you have around you should always be a reflection of your core values and what you do with your life and that as well.
People you surround yourself with.
How many people go to day jobs that they hate, and there's nothing wrong with it, because
we all need to pay the
we all need to
bills,
do it, but the day jobs that they hate for a long time, over a period of years and years and years, and it goes against their core values. Totally goes against their core values, but they're stuck in a trap where they need to make the money, and they feel there's no way out. Even they go and get another qualification, it's too much to get out of it as well. But a lot of that, being unhappy in situations in your life, they aren't really about core values, and those core values might not even be thinking of something you've written down.
No.
We've got inherent core values that we've put up with that we don't like, things we don't like, that have happened to us. We don't want it to happen again.
You just get that feeling and you go, that just doesn't feel right. I know. And I think as well, it's about knowing your self-worth. That about who you let into your life as well. Even if you're thinking about relationships with a significant other. I was having a conversation at the weekend with some friends who shall remain nameless for reasons that you'll realise as I talk.
But their names will come up in the credits at the end.
Sorry. And this friend was going on a date, and so she went away off on her date and came back, and we had a wee group chat and we had such a laugh. It was really good fun. She, and this is why she'll remain nameless, she's a bit of a people pleaser, and I feel she's in my life, and she's a really good friend. I've known her for years and years, so I can say, right, you're doing that people pleasing thing. So she was getting caught up in the fact that this person liked her, was showing interest and all that. And of course, me being with my psychology hat on, I'm going, right, rewind that back to what is it you want? Because it was all about, oh, he wants to meet me next week and he wants me to go here with him and he wants me to, you know, do this, do that. And I'm like, look, just, you've got to remember you're a bit of a people pleaser. And I'm like, no judgment. And there is absolutely no judgment. I am also one. So I can find myself being roped into things that I'm trying to just please others to get involved in or whatever. But I'm catching myself more and more. So anyway, I'm saying, so what do you want? Have you thought about what you want out of this? And what suits you? Does it suit you to go there next week? And I said, and if it does, go. That's brilliant. Go. I said, but always, I said, you know, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here saying, especially women, right? You could maybe say if you think that that's not the case, but I think women are, because we're like the nurturing ones and we're the ones that stereotypically we bring the family up and we are around for the family, so we're constantly putting other people before us. Men do it as well, but just from a woman's perspective, I think I found that in the years that I was married and bringing children up, I lost myself. I just lost, I didn't know who I was, and I'm really, I've worked so hard for the last 5 years to find out who I am. What do I like? Who do I like being around? What do I like doing? What's my interest? What do I like to eat? I mean, lost a lot of myself. Nobody's fault, just is what it is, and I chose that path and it's fine. But I'm very conscious of losing that again. So I'm kind of looking out for my women friends going,
yeah,
what do you want for this?
Yeah.
Don't lose yourself in this.
Yeah.
Always pull it back. Is this going towards the life you want to create for yourself? Does that person enhance your life? Will that person challenge you and help you grow? Or are you just going along for the ride in their life? You know, it's got to be a two-way thing. So I don't even know where that was going or where it came from, but yeah, I think that's important.
I get what you're saying, 100%. I get what you're saying, but I challenge you on the men and the women thing as well. Well, what I'd say to you is you know, I think it happens to all men. Men can be the same, and men can, you know, can be people pleasers, and men can be abused, and men can be hurt, and men can be all those things can happen to men as well. In fact, I would even go as far to say is that, you know, sometimes in society, men's roles, they don't even know what they're supposed to do anymore, because we're expected to be the breadwinner. We are expected to be the provider and all these things, but we're also now expected to be a nurturer. We're supposed to be all things, you know. And you know, I think men are finding it really, really difficult. You know, especially I can't speak for young men just now, but I think especially when I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and there was a lot of change in that for men. There was a lot of expectations put on men about how they should be in the home as fathers. Yeah. But you're still, I mean, I'm expected to, you know, I would say that a man can equally look after a child and grow up a child. Obviously, he can't breastfeed and things like that as well, but a man can do all the other things as well. However, you know, it's like when it comes to maybe things like, you know, maternity leave and paternity leave, we're totally ripped right off. I think you can split it now as well, but I think it was 2 weeks or something like that. So there's still a kind of not quite an understanding as from a man's point of view about how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to be in that as well. So I think that I'm the same guy wise. I think sometimes guys are trying to do a bit too much in that as well, and you know, for in the dating scene and that, right? So if you're going to, a guy doesn't know, is this a woman that wants me to hold the door open for her, or is she going to be offended by it? Is this a woman who, if I don't hold the door open for her, she's going to be offended by it? You know, it's all this kind of thing. Nobody knows, you know. And if you want to if a man wants to have a bit of chivalry or something like that, some women are for that. Some women are really offended about it, kind of things that I can look after myself and stuff like that. Some will say, I like you to be old fashioned and I like you. So what do you just be a man. What do you want? And I know. So geese peace on it.
Please alone. I know.
People are people, and we try to fit into these roles, you know, and it's hard work sometimes. I think it's hard work to do that, especially in a changing society all the time. Roles are changing, you know, there's much more fluidity in gender, all that kind of thing. People are changing all the time, and
Yeah.
I think it's a society that I don't know how people just don't know how to react sometimes.
I know. No, I think you're absolutely right. And we have conversations about, you'll be like that, women, I just don't get them. And I'm like, men, I just don't get them, because we don't know what to expect. And also, I think that a lot of the way society's gone has meant men have kind of lost that masculine energy, because it's almost like they're not allowed to be in their masculine energy.
And I don't think it's lost. I think it's discouraged.
They just
and
don't,
I think that's the problem. We're discouraged for presenting your masculine energy, if that's what you want to call it. For being a man, for being protective, to want to look after, I mean, these are not some things I think am I wrong to feel like that as a man? You know, if I'm close to somebody in my family and my children and that, I want to look after them. I want to protect them and that. And if I've got somebody in my life that I care about, I want to protect them and I want to do whatever I can. And I want to make them feel protected. That feels natural to me. And it can't be because, well, that's how you grew up, though. You grew up in a home like that. Because it wasn't like that. I didn't have that when I was growing up.
But you just have got this.
I've got that inside me. And so what society does in many ways is tell me I'm wrong.
I know.
But I don't find that in women. I talk to you and all the women I talk to. I don't find that women don't want that.
No,
I don't find that. But that's someone, and it's fair enough if they don't. If they, I'm looked after myself, I don't need looked after. That's fair enough. And I'm not saying looked after in a financial way.
I know what you mean.
I'm not saying that.
I know what you mean.
I'm just saying. You spoke about the nurturing role. Right. And I'm speaking about which would be a masculine role, we could say, right? For the sake of arguments, right?
I know,
Then that works as a partnership.
Well, I was going to say...
In many ways that was a partnership. If it works, brilliant. You know, geese peace then. Let people go in there and don't tell them they're wrong because they're playing roles. That's all. And everybody can be the way they want to be. No, but it seems that the mainstream way of being is criticised constantly. You know? But
for me, in my 20-year marriage, I loved feeling looked after and protected and that he had my back. I loved that feeling, and I think I can only speak for myself, but I think most women want the guy to take them out for the meal. We've had this conversation as well, like but and pay for it, like, and not. I don't know, but that's all kind of...
Is it not chivalry we're talking about? Chivalry, old-fashioned romance kind of thing.
Like, I would always offer, and I would, and if they wanted me to pay half or whatever, that's fine. But a wee if I'm really, really honest, and we're really honest here, aren't we? A wee part of me would be like, oh, he just got that, you know, just seeing to that.
He could be sitting going, I don't want to be. She might think I'm a male chauvinist if I go and pay for it or something like that. You know, that's the problem. Nobody knows how they're supposed to behave. Maybe the young people knew have got it. Maybe they understand they've got it sus. They don't worry about anything. Maybe it's something because I think that we went through a transitional.
I think you're right.
Our generation went through a transitional. The generation before us, men were men and women were women, and that was it.
And the women stayed in the house.
And that's how it was, right? So. Right or wrong, whatever it was, there was defined kind of roles. And by the way, in many times that I've seen, it was wrong. It didn't work. And sometimes it did work though. Many times it did work. But there was a transitional period, I'd say, through the
80s and 90s,
and then
where women were...
women,
I was brought up like, you can be anything. You're a woman, girl power... You know, go and work in I was an engineer, I did engineering, so I worked in a male-dominated world, and I suppose part of me was a bit of rebellion a wee bit. I was like, I didn't want to go down the mainstream girly things, and I was like, well, I'll go and do that. And that was all celebrated and accepted, but what I think then happened was, I don't think women can do it all. I don't think they can bring a family up and work full time. I think something's got to give, and it's exhausting. I thankfully was never in that position. I went back to work part time.
Did you say you kind of think a woman can't, or do you mean you don't think a single parent can?
I just think if you're going to work
full... So you're saying a man could do that?
No, I don't think anybody could. I just mean physically do it. I just mean like you can't. It's exhausting bringing a family up, and I think if you go out to work in one of these power jobs where you're working like all the hours God sends because you're on that career path, and then you've got children to bring up. I don't know how people do it if they're doing it, and I think that it must be exhausting, and I'm just thankful that I never had to do that. But again, it goes back to that. Me and my ex-husband did a very, I suppose, the kind of traditional roles. I was looking after the kids, and he went out and brought the money in. He was the breadwinner, and it worked, and I really enjoyed that time, and I always did feel lucky that I could have that choice. But I only didn't work for 5 years in my marriage. I had my first, and then went back part-time, and then gave up after my second for 5 years, and then went back again part-time. So I've always worked, but I just quite enjoy earning my own money and being independent that way. But I had that safety net of my husband who went out, and I knew the bills were going to get paid, and I knew we were going to be looked after, and I liked that feeling. I did, and I miss that feeling now. I feel very much like it's all on me now.
Aye, I mean, if I look at my daughter lives in America, and her husband, and she's got a son. We acts are amazing, and I've got a granddaughter on the way as well. She did the gender reveal thing, so we know that's coming, and I think it's in
February. Did you say?
No, I think it's January. January. Sorry, Jodie.
You've been out, you're not going out.
I'm going to try and go out after that. But the thing is, I see them, so I can see them in a very modern way, and I know that Austin, her husband, he works. Jodie's pregnant, she works as well. She's like night shift. She texts me well. She does night shift. She's got the wee boy looked after. So she does all these roles, and they seem to do things. They take the two and they throw and they do things, but. Maybe I'm wrong, but they do have the male and the female role, and I see it, and I can see it working really, really well. But they dig each other out. They give each other a dig out when they need it. It's not like, well, I'm the guy, not you supposed to do that, or well, I'm the female, so you. The two of them, they work as a team. But I do see the nurturing and the masculine role in the two of them. It's good to see. So I suppose when I don't need to look too far to see a great example, and I've been very proud of my daughter and my son-in-law. They seem to be doing an amazing job, So we need to learn maybe from the young ones, because we were the transition, and I think the young ones now are the ones that are saying, what's the problem?
Exactly.
It's like a lot of things, isn't it? It's like a lot of things that we've kind of had to transition through, which where we grew up in our environment, there was things said, usually shouted at the telly. My dad, that I had to go through a transition, learning that wasn't actually the way to be. And we've went through that's an issue, and we've overcame the issues. And I think now the next generation, I see it in my son and my daughter, they're like, they're not bothered about certain things, and they're like, so what's that like? It's nothing.
No, it's not a thing.
So we came through it.
So we've blazed the trail for these youngsters.
That's it, we blazed the trail.
And there was, when you think back to the 70s and 80s, and like the things on the telly, and all that, I mean, to do with a piece of work I did for uni there, it was all around, I had to look into like the homosexuality in the 80s. I was looking at how did we change attitudes to now? Because I've never seen myself as homophobic anyway. I've always kind of my dad was very much live and let live, and why are we getting, we should all be coming together and all that kind of stuff. But a lot, in the 80s, it was terrible for people to come out and say they were gay and lesbian and or whatever. But it's not now for them. So
I know, I'm laughing, but it's crazy, because my dad, God rest his soul, my dad was like, the things he would say, I had to overcome that. He was just a guy from Govan, grew up just after the war, and he had these crazy, I remember he actually phoned up the Big Breakfast. My sister reminded me this the other day. He phoned up the Big Breakfast to complain because Boy George was on it.
Oh really?
He actually phoned up in the morning, saying, what is he doing on this? This is ridiculous. I'm sitting, and so these are the kind of things that happen. These are the things that are coming on that are happening, and I had to learn. And I always made a point of that. In a way, he taught me invertedly, if you like. Some of the things that he done, I went bad with my dad, but some of the things he did was the best example in my life. How not to be. And I remember growing up, I would never have said or done anything around just my son or my daughter in case they ever felt that they wanted to come and tell me something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could never have went and told my dad anything like that. If that had been me, it would have been something. It must have been horrendous because there was millions of dads like that.
Oh, I know. That was how it was.
For working class men, or actually,
yeah, that's just how it was.
And that's how it was. So we've came through a great transition. We have,
We have.
To where we are just now.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not for me to say because I'm just a heterosexual white middle-aged guy. You know, it's not for me to say things are better for people.
No.
But I hope they are.
Yeah.
And I know the way I think. You know, and I'm definitely a million miles away from my dad. You know.
Yeah. No, I think it has come a long way, and I think even I love it that the young people. So I've got they it's not even a thing. Sorry. They're like, what? And why would you even mention that at all? It's like, and then I do still go because it's, you know, it's in our scripts and schemas from when we were young. It's how we've been programmed. That men and women go together. That's just in our psyche now. And we're trying to unravel that and get it into our consciousness and all the rest of it. But you know, I'll say, oh, how's Lara? Oh, she got a wee boyfriend or something, and Elizabeth goes, oh, well, or a girlfriend. Why do you just say? And I'm like, oh, well, get a partner. You just automatically go there.
Brilliant, right? So what happened is, so Lila, my wee girl at 4, she's in primary 1, she just started, and she told me that they had a farmer come into the class, a farmer came into the class to tell them about farming, and she loved it. And the first thing I said was, what was he wearing? And Lila says to me, 4 years old, she said, it was a girl, Dad. And I went like that, do you know what, I'm sorry, darling.
I know.
I assumed it would be straight away. I'm not laughing about this, by the way, but it's one of the thing I'm writing, and I'm laughing about the fact that pirates and farmers, have you ever noticed? Pirates and farmers have got the same accent, right? Now this is a thing that I'm writing about just now. It's a bit of a joke, don't worry about it.
It's no joke.
It's quite funny. But the thing was that, because I've got this image of a farmer, so that they've always got the dungarees on, and they've got the kind of, you know, the tight curly hair, kind of salt and pepper in that as well. But actually I looked on Google Classroom.
I like that better.
Google Classroom. And it was actually a female. It was a female farmer, and good on her. You know, and that just showed you how I assumed differently. And my wee girl at 4 put me right.
Yeah,
you know?
We do. We just make assumptions, but it's not our fault.
No.
It's not our fault.
But it is your fault once you know.
Yeah, once you know, you kind of go, oh, I think it's awareness.
If I do it again next week with something else, it is my fault.
Yeah.
You know, I have to take responsibility.
Yeah, but initially, if you're like going, well, I'm just going to keep saying farmers should be men.
Shouldn't be,
Yeah, it shouldn't be a woman farmer.
Pirates have to be men.
Pirates are buying. You can tell them about the pirate farmer thing. It's quite funny. But yeah, so if you were continually saying, well, I'm not accepting a woman, well, that's different. But we've been brought up to, it's the same. I did a talk a few weeks ago for International Women's Day. We were talking, and I did a talk with these women, and it was about going through imagining a scenario, and it was imagining you were going on a plane and the pilot greeted you, and then you were going to a conference and the CEO got up on the stage and you saw a couple having breakfast in the restaurant. I'm cutting it really short, but most people will say, oh, what was the pilot? Oh, he was like middle-aged and white and a man. And the couple that were sitting having a celebration, were they heterosexual or were they, same sex, were they opposite sex? And it's like, they were a heterosexual couple mostly, because that's been our world.
Aye.
That's just been our world. That's what the media has fed us. That's what society's fed us.
Aye.
But it's up to us now to appreciate that actually there's more out there.
And as much as it is my responsibility, right, middle-aged person, it is my responsibility to try and understand these things as well.
Yeah.
As long as I'm trying, that's the most important thing. I don't think it's fair to hit me over the head.
No.
And I think I see a lot of that going on as well. People getting hit over the head because they don't say something right or they say the wrong thing or that as well. Give people an opportunity to, because they come from a background. We've came right through that transition.
Yeah.
And I think we'll do alright.
Yeah, definitely. I think as long as intention in it.
But the world, here's a funny, sorry.
No, go.
But here's a funny thing. The world's exactly the same as it always was. It's just that we were speaking about it.
Yeah.
People are the same.
Absolutely.
People were always,
Yeah.
gay, lesbian,
Yeah.
heterosexual. People were always, transgender.
Yeah.
People. That was always the case.
Always.
It's just that it never got spoken about.
Funnily enough, because of stuff I'm doing at uni, I'm on some forums for that kind of stuff, transgender stuff and all that, because I'm really interested in all that, how social society's set up and all the rest of it. And so I sometimes talk to people about what I'm doing at uni, and it's to do around about that kind of stuff because I'm interested in it, and the uni's really big on stuff like that. And people say to me, but where's the 70-year-old transgender women? Where's the 70-year-old transgender men? They're not there, so it's a new phenomenon, and it's just the kids wanting attention or whatever that may be. And I'm like, no, they've been living a lie for the past 50 or 70 years, and they're on these forums going, if I don't be me, I don't think I'm going to be here much longer. I'm really struggling, and I'm really agonising over coming out to my family, and this is 16, 17-year-old men and women. So they're there.
Yeah, I just think live and let live. People have a right to be happy. We're talking about the core value,
Yeah.
And I think that people, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to call yourself, I'm cool. I'm not bothered,
No,
And if it's so powerful, and you'd ask me to say, I want you to call me this, then no bother.
I know.
It's no bother at all. And it's the same way, any kind of gay marriages and stuff like that as well. Brilliant.
Yeah.
People. I just want to see people happy, kind of thing.
Absolutely. There's so much.
And if you
hatred
find
in the
somebody,
world.
right? If you find somebody in your life, and the two of you are happy together,
I know.
that's all that matters.
Go
What
for
an
it.
amazing thing.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's hard enough to find.
That's right. That's the thing. So if you find that in life, brilliant.
I know. I know.
Tell us how you do it.
I know.
Tell us how you keep it going.
Totally. 100%. No.
And again, I can't speak for any. I can only speak myself as an observer of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, I'm a live and let live kind of person.
Yeah.
And I just want to see people happy, and love's love.
Love
Simple
is
as
love.
that. Love is love. It doesn't matter.
And I always think when you think about the wars in the world, and there's so much hatred, a lot of hatred, and you think if two people want to love each other, what's possibly be wrong with
What's
that?
really wrong in the world is what you're talking about. The wars, the stuff that goes on in the war. That's what's really the problem. That's what people need to.
It's not people's sexuality.
I was going to say that's what people need to focus on, but I don't think that's the right way of putting it, because I think focusing on it actually makes it happen. I think that's part of the trick. We might talk about that one day. That's the trick of society we live in, which is to get us to focus on the negative so that the negative continues. But that's another podcast. But I think that there's a lot worse things going on in the world.
Yeah, it's like a distraction though. They like to distract us from the big things, don't they?
Divide and conquer. They like us all falling out. They like to put us in pigeonholing us in wee different ways.
Oh, I know.
And that, I suppose. And that I think is great when we talk about, okay, so we've been talking about core values.
Yeah.
We kind of went off the tangent. I think that's brought us
to
come full circle and talk about what the core values are. That our core values can be something that can be learned. We've just proven that. We spoke about going through a transition from from where we were growing up, what all happened round about us, the playground, everything, all that kind of stuff, the stuff that was said, and how we talk about conditioning quite a lot. How conditioning affects you, it's in your subconscious now. But you can relearn stuff. You can recondition yourself.
Oh,
you can
100%.
You can do that, and you can get to a point where I'd say, I can't speak for you, but I know you, and for myself as well. There's a lot of stuff that went in my head that I've managed to. I don't know if I emptied it out or if I managed to just override it. And I think differently about a lot of things now. And even recently, in the last 5 years, a lot of things have happened in my life that have affected my core values. I don't know if I would have been able to confident enough to say I'm a single parent.
Right.
10 years ago.
Did you know?
If I was on my own, I thought, well, mum's the single parent, and I'm just the dad that gets the kids. But now I say from my daughter, I'm a single parent just as much as her mum is. I'm a single parent, and these are the kind of things that I'm changing.
That's the whole language thing that we use as well, though, because you talk about that sometimes when you're talking about all that kind of stuff where you are a single parent, and we've spoken about this as well, you've got as much right to see your daughter as the mum has.
Mhm.
Same as like when I split with my husband and we did 50-50, the custody with, like, I hate that shame custody, but
Yeah, you do that and you start calling time with your kids, contact and things like that. It's horrible.
Yeah.
That's because it's the court system that deals with it.
I know, but I remember thinking that was absolutely the right thing to do, that why should I have more of my children than he did, just because we were not, we were falling out. But I think a lot of, I had a few people say to me, women say, well, I just think the kids should be with their mother.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And
I've heard that as well.
And I just like, it was really hard to hear that, because you can read all sorts into that, like, well, why you're not fighting for your children and you're not being a good mum. And actually I had to pull myself, there are people aren't in my life in any shape or form, but people that I've kind of passed by, if you like, in life, and have come away with stuff like that, and you go, and then you've got to kind of be really sure of yourself and go, no, my core value, one of mine is like maybe fairness. It's got to be fair. So just because society's saying the kids should be with a mum, where did that come from? Dads can be as nurturing as you say, and as loving and as everything as a mum can be. So
well, I've been in, and I've been in that process. I've been through the process of making that I was going to say demand, but making sure that I can have as much a positive contribution time-wise to my daughter's life as her mum. And what I've discovered is, and thousands of other people have discovered is, that the family legal system in this country is actually broken. And it's a very, very, very difficult thing to navigate. And if you're I'm going to say dad, but I'll say non-residential parent. And that means you've been unfortunate enough to not have your child living with you. You have little to no rights. Until you can maybe get into court and get help from the sheriff, which can take years to get into court. And in that time, what can happen is what's known as parental alienation, where a child becomes in the habit of being with. Now, I would love to talk to you about that. I would love to talk about a podcast and that one day. I know that you've been affected by that in your family. And your extended family, and my experience. And I work with a lot of, I'll say, non-residential parents as well, to try and support and help each other through what is really, really
it's terrible.
We call it Scotland's hidden shame, and it's basically children don't get to be with both parents, and it's damaging, very damaging.
And you're very good at always saying, it's not like when, like if you've had if something's gone your way, let's just say, you'll say, oh, Lila's won. It's never, it's always about Lila. It's like, Lila's won because she's getting to see her extended family on your side, kind of thing. She's getting to spend time with them, and that's always a good thing. You want your child to have as many avenues of support as well, because they're not always going to come to you.
That's what it's all about. It's just about what's. I always say it's what's right for Lila.
It's always,
for the children, it's what's right, and it's having the ability to have a balanced family life, and that's what it is. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to have that in this country. You have to enforce it. That's for another podcast.
We'll do that. We will do that. So, do you think?
Core values.
I'm
not ready to stop just now. I'm enjoying this video. So we're still talking about core values. But I think what I was trying to say towards the end there was as well is that you can change, you can amend, you can adapt. So I might have core values just now, but they can change. That's the beautiful thing about this. We can change and we can grow. One of the issues was, and this is what you hear all the time, so somebody would maybe turn to me and say, oh, if your dad heard you today talking like that, he wouldn't be happy because your dad would say, well, why? Because of his core values. Because of what he believed that, we can change, we don't have to be the same. We think things are hereditary. We think, I can't let my granddad do. I can't do. You can do what you want, and it's about your core values. My core values are based upon what I've learned, mistakes I've made, maybe pain I've went through, maybe pain I've maybe inflicted on others, or been inflicted on me, And that's what my core values should be about, all that kind of experience and trying to have that in my life now, because I've learned from all the things that have happened. But that has to be a continuum.
It's the same. It's growing, and it's like we're all a work in progress, aren't we? But I think as well it's about having an open mind and wanting to, and having an awareness of yourself and how you're showing up in the world. Because I don't think a lot of people do that. Check in with themselves.
No, they don't.
And go, why am I feeling like that, or why does that make me feel uncomfortable, or why do I want to do this and not do that, or whatever. And it's hard work. It's hard work having that awareness and trying to stay on the path that's, where you're creating a life for yourself that you want it to be. It's not easy. But I think it was, as I said, that friend of mine had said, when you know your core values, decisions are easy. And if you really think about it, if you know your core values, then you're not going to eat that cake. You're going to go to the gym if health is important to you. You're going to make your children the centre of your world if that's important to you. And you're going to make your relationship, whatever's important to you, financial freedom, if that's one of them, then you're going to be looking at ways to make yourself feel secure in that world. So yeah, it's, I think awareness. I think everything comes down to awareness. Just knowing yourself. Know thyself. The Bible knows that.
To thine own self be true.
Yeah.
Is that Shakespeare?
I think so. Yeah, that was in the Bible. I think who knows? He might have got it from the Bible. Who knows? Yeah. So knowing yourself.
You have to live with yourself. That's the thing.
You have to look at yourself.
So I think it is important to have some core values, and especially I think when people are in your life and that as well. It's important to have core values about what's acceptable to you and what's not acceptable to you. But it's also good to know that we all change, we all can change, we can all go through bad periods, we can all go through good periods, we can all have challenges
and
in
we
life.
make mistakes.
We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. It's what we do about them, eh? I've made. I make mistakes all the time, you know what I mean? But I'm not frightened to make mistakes.
No, I know. We have, as long as we're learning from them and not continually making them. But we could talk as well about how lessons and patterns show up in our life as well all the time until we learn that's not what we want in our lives, and it's fascinating. I love it.
I suppose a wee exercise for everybody then, if you're looking at it, what are your core values? Write them down. Put them away in a drawer and remember what they are. You know what's important to you in your life, and remember you can change them whenever you want, and that's useful to me, like.
Yeah, definitely. Being aware.
Okay.
Right, we're done now.
Are we done? Did we do it again?
You shut up. You're going to shut up now.
I don't know if I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up once this is off. I'll start talking.
We're going to have our 3 hours after this. It's
there
like,
you go.
No, I'm like, don't say
Next
that.
time, I'll tell you about the farmers and the pirates.
Yeah, you can say that for the next time. Funny.
Right,
you're going to switch.
Yes, okay. Tune in by, listen, we hope to speak to you next time, and thanks so much.
You're going to Australia soon, so you're going to be doing some stuff from there.
So I'm going to Australia next week for work to go and meet some people in different parts of Australia. I'm going from north coast of New South Wales and about Gold Coast, Lismore, Ballina area. I'm going to go to Lismore where there has been some horrendous flooding. Whole city in Lismore was devastated by floods back in February, and there's still a lot of devastation there, and people, I'm going to try and find out a bit about that. I don't think people are being told in Britain what's actually happening in a place about the size of Stirling. If you think about the whole city centre of Stirling being under 10 metres of water, that's what happened. I never see it in the news or that here. I saw it when it happened, but never hear nothing about it. We're going to try and tell you a bit more about it. Maybe I can speak to people there just so they can see how it's feeling and what's happening for them. I'm going down to Adelaide, meet up with some friends there as well, but I'm going to be hopefully kicking off some work with a school there, and then it's going up to North Queensland, Cairns, heading up to there to hopefully I'm going to be speaking to as well Diane Crichton, a good friend of mine, and we're going to be doing some work together. Diane's a very proud Aboriginal woman from the Gamilaroi tribe. And yes, so I'm going to be doing all that. And
so we'll do that. If we don't get another podcast in before that, we can do stuff.
Yeah, so
from there. Brilliant.
cool. Somebody's got to
cool.
do it. Okay.
Right.
Thanks very much for
Cheers.
joining us. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.